So Kkaennip Jeon are basically perilla leaf dumplings. So we're going to start with the filling. And I went a little OD and got some Wagyu, which will make these super tender and juicy because of all that fat that's marbled in there. But you can use whatever type of beef you want for this. So we're going to take that beef and chop it up into a nice mince. This cut that I got has the benefit of being meant for Korean barbecue, so it's already sliced thin. But basically dice it up and then go at it with your cleaver, chopping back and forth, slapping it a few times to tenderize it, and it should come out into a nice kind of pasty consistency. Along with that beef, we're going to mince up a clove of garlic. I love this garlic press that I just got. We're going to take some scallions, and we're going to use both the greens and the whites. So just slice that up nice and fine. Next up, I've got a Shiitake mushroom that I'm going to dice up. This is optional. You can even replace the beef with just the mushrooms and maybe some eggs to bind it together. A teaspoon of sugar, a tablespoon of soy sauce, a couple teaspoons of sesame oil, and about a teaspoon of freshly cracked black pepper. Go ahead and mix that all up until it's all incorporated. And then we can wrap it up and throw it in the fridge to marinate for about a half an hour. While that's marinating, let's make some soup. This is called Kongnamul Guk, which is beansprout soup. It's on every restaurant table in all of South Korea. It's just the standard side dish soup that you'll get. There's a few ways to do it. We're going to do it with these broth packets that contain dried anchovies, dried shrimp, and dried kelp. If you don't have these packets, you can always use a Japanese dashi stock, or you can get dried anchovies and kelp and simmer them the same way. We're going to throw them into a pot, bring them up to a boil, and reduce it to a simmer for about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we're going to remove the pouch. That's the beauty of the pouch, is that you can just pull it out with some tongs. And we're going to go in with some soybean sprouts. Make sure you've cleaned them beforehand and gotten rid of any floating hulls. I'm using about a handful for 2 servings of soup. And let that go for about 15 minutes. Now that our filling has marinated, we can go ahead and stuff our perilla leaves. And these are perilla leaves. Flavor-wise, they're sort of a hybrid between, I'd say, basil and mint and maybe fennel or something. It's very herbaceous, very fragrant, very refreshing. So we're gonna spread our filling on one side of the leaf and go ahead and fold the leaf over into a little taco kind of shape. So the leaves are basically our dumpling wrappers with this dumpling filling inside. Super simple, and repeat until you're out of filling or out of leaves, either way. Next up, let's set up our dredging station. I've got some regular all-purpose flour. I've got a couple of eggs. Be sure to whisk the eggs thoroughly so that they're homogeneous. Now let's take one of our little dumplings and coat each side in the flour. Dip it into the egg, and we're gonna use the wet hand, dry hand method so that you don't get a club hand. And the tricky part is removing it from the eggs because it doesn't really want to come out of the bowl. And transfer to a rack or a plate and repeat with the next one. Now into a frying pan or cast iron skillet, throw about a centimeter depth of cooking oil and bring that up to medium-high heat. Once it's hot enough to fry, go ahead and drop the leaves in, crisp them up on one side, then flip them over once they start to get golden brown. And go ahead and repeat that with the rest of the leaves until you're done. So the filling is just your typical beef dumpling filling that you'd get in any sort of beef dumpling, but there's a very subtle underline of the Perilla leaves. And again, it's a hard flavor to describe, but it adds sort of like a freshness to the flavor, which kind of lightens things up a little bit. It's nice. And the crunchiness, it's just like you're eating dumplings with tempura or something. It's kind of a strange concept, but awesome execution. Oh wow, that is a really robust kind of broth. And I've experienced this in two different ways. Some places that just want to cheap out will, I guess, just use water or vegetable broth as the base for this. But that seafood broth really takes things up a notch. And I've had it in this way. And I've even had it with like beef stock that really brought things up to another level. So it's not just a vegetable soup, it's just this super flavorful thing that you can make in an instant. And they go well together. So as always, the recipe link will be in the description. And if you want to see more international cooking videos, then hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more. See you next time. Cheers.